consistent basis. So if you take steps on a consistent basis working toward a goal, you're going to accomplish that goal. So a lot of it's about, researching, putting, self-education in, putting effort into bettering yourself, and then setting those goals of what you want to accomplish, and then breaking that goal down into micro steps, and just consistently every single day thinking, what's going to move the needle today? What are 3 things I can do today to move my needle forward closer to my goal? That's it. That right alone. And you can accomplish anything if you just think that way. You get up every single day. What are 3 things I can do today to move the needle forward towards closer to my goal?
Wow. So what about the car washes? How did you get into that?
The car washes is a fantastic one, and the money is more lucrative than apartment complexes because there's less overhead. It's more of a cash flow business. It's commercial real estate. So once I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, which is really what happened, right? I was a corporate guy my whole life. I was afraid to take risk. I wanted that security. I fell into that trap of that paycheck, somebody giving me a guaranteed paycheck. And I wanted that security and that safety. And I was afraid, well, what if I fail? What if I go to my own? What if I can't pay my bills? But once I got into multifamily, the entrepreneurial bug really bit me. And I really realized how much I enjoyed it, how much I like working on my own schedule, my own projects with the people I choose, with the people who have the same values and their thoughts and ideas align with mine. And car washes was kind of a natural progression in a way where once you get into commercial real estate, which is multifamily, right? People think multifamily is residential. It's not, because people live there. Anything with 5 units or more is considered commercial. So once you get into commercial real estate, then it's not a huge leap to think about storage, to think about coin-op laundry, to think about, car washes, anything that can create cash flow where you're doing very little. And what happened was when the market started, when the interest rates started going really high, things started becoming difficult. Things were already a bit difficult, especially in the Dallas market. And as you know, the Florida market. Real estate is really, really hot in Texas and Florida. And prices are high. Brokers want them, they want to ask the most they can get out of a property. And it's not easy. So with prices already being high, things don't pencil out very often. And then when interest rates started skyrocketing, it really made multifamily very difficult. Made it difficult to find properties. It made it difficult to run existing properties, especially as more of vacancies come online, as more apartment complexes are being built. Now you've got more apartments available to rent. Now rents drop. And if you know anything about multifamily, the valuation of an apartment complex is based on the monthly income, right? And so when rents go down, income goes down, the apartment complex is worth less. And the banks do pay attention, and they run those numbers very frequently. And when those numbers go down and your apartment complex suddenly is of less value, well, then you might have to raise some capital. You might have to do some creative things to keep that value up. And it gets really, really difficult. And so as that happened, I began thinking, don't put all my eggs in one basket, right? So you need to diversify your portfolio. And so it was natural to start looking at other avenues in commercial real estate. And car washes was a big one. And I have some friends who were talking about it. I was lucky in the fact that I met a partner who had been running car washes for 25 years. He had built, operated, and sold 67 car washes by the time I met him.
67.
And so he knew the business and he knew what he was doing. So I quickly created a partnership with him. And he is kind of the bread and butter and the brains of the operation, where I work on the raising capital side and investment side. We have another partner who's our real estate attorney. He does all the legal stuff. And then a friend of mine, a partner, Ronnie Corbin, he really runs the operation. He's the one that's been doing it for, probably close to 30 years now. So I lucked out in that I found a fantastic partner that I could jump in with. and operate. A lot of people get into car washes. They don't know what they're doing. They just think, oh, it's just a different business. They buy a used car wash or they try to get into it. And it can be difficult. I was lucky enough to meet the right person at the right time. I saw that open door and I jumped. And that's how I got into the car washes. And, the cash flow, the returns are much higher than multifamily.
So now you're getting into RV parks, which is interesting because there's, we've had on the show here too, people that live this nomadic lifestyle. I mean, I remember my grandparents and to my grandparents' brother and stuff like that, that generation would go camping a lot. They would take a fifth wheel or they'd have like one of those driving campers and they would go on vacation doing that. And while you still see that, it's not as frequent as much. Most people now, from what I see, there's a lot of just nomadic people. I don't want to, people that move around a lot for maybe work, like traveling nurses or people that enjoy living the RV life and stuff. So tell us a little bit about the RV parks and that aspect of it.
Yeah. So the RV parks have always been really attractive to me, right? I love that lifestyle. I grew up camping. It's just always been an attractive, another stream of revenue if you can get into it. And at the beginning, I wasn't as excited for it as I am now. But over the past, let's say 6 years, I've been in commercial real estate. I've really seen RV parks evolve, and especially since COVID. And I think COVID really made all the difference in the world. We're starting to see this trend. Like you said, people are becoming more nomadic. And I really think that is made possible because of Starlink. Elon Musk, right? Once they created Starlink and suddenly you had high-speed internet available in a camper or an RV, that changed the game. Now I can be an IT guy, I can be a sales, I can be all kinds of different things and work anywhere in the world because I've got a high-speed internet connection.
Right.
And I think once COVID hit and people were locking themselves down, they were not going where crowds are. They were trying to get away. They were living in a lot of younger people, especially, bought RVs and bought campers. Now, there's more to that story, right? The other piece of that story is housing prices were off the charts. Real estate was high. Apartments, you couldn't find an apartment in North Dallas. They were you put an application in and you couldn't get an apartment because there were not enough apartments. Once we did COVID and everybody was locked down, and then all of a sudden everything opened back up, now everybody's like, I need my own space. They're spreading out. They're going back out there. People started buying RVs and they started living in RVs because they could work remotely anywhere suddenly. The same with apartments. People wanted to get away. Who they were living with? They were living with their parents. People started moving around. And so we've not only seen people become more nomadic just because they love that lifestyle and Starlink allows them to do that, but we've also seen people do it because it's affordable housing. That's really the key, is we're starting to see RV parks. So like around me in Texas, you can't go to an RV park that's not full. You're lucky if you can find a spot. They're all full.
Wow.
And it's because people are starting to use them as housing, whether it's temporary housing or whether they just love that lifestyle. And so I began doing some research with a partner of mine, and we quickly we would call RV parks and talk to RV park owners, and they'd be like, yeah, if you build or of an RV park that's got some spots, let me know. We'll send them there because we have no spots available. And so when we started asking the question of, well, what's your average stay right now? How long is your average person staying in the RV park? And the answer was coming back at 5 years. What?
Wow.
5 years? That really gave us this whole, okay, wait a minute. Now we're talking about people are using this for affordable housing. And in the grand scheme of things, it's looking very attractive. So, if you take 30 acres of land and you build yourself a nice little RV park and you're charging, let's say $500-$600 a month for a concrete slab, you're putting some decent amenities in there. Suddenly you've got a pretty good stream of cash flow.
Right. I mean, and there's a lot of people too that, I watch a lot of these RV shows. Like you said, Starlink's been a godsend. So
Yeah.
a lot of people, like, they become snowbirds. We have them I think you have them in Texas as well as we have them in Florida. The people that come down from, say, Minnesota or Wisconsin, or, I'm originally from Pennsylvania. A lot of people from Pennsylvania come down here and they stay for 5-6 months. And then you're also getting that snowbird cash flow. And like you said, Starlink has been like a godsend.